Since I've been 23 years old, I haven't had a year where I've made less than $1 million. And in the last 10 years, there are 12 things that I've done almost every single week that got me to this point. So in this video, I want to break down the 12 habits that made me successful in my life. The first one is creating a power list. Every night before I go to bed, I make a list of 3 things that I need to do for the next day. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but I do this every day. I've done this every day since I was 18 years old, maybe even before that. It has become a principle in my life. And what happens when you do this is every morning when you wake up, you have at least some sense of clarity and direction. Now, when I first started, I was putting garbage on this list. Like I would say, oh, today I'm going to read for 10 minutes and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to go and do some product research. As the years went by, I realized that I need to put bigger tasks on that list. So as opposed to doing product research, I would say I want to launch a brand new product from scratch. As opposed to saying I'm going to research YouTube videos, I'll say I'm going to go film a video. When I say power list, I mean power because you need to pick big things that you need to do. This is something that I recommend all of you implement, and it's going to add a lot more clarity into your life and help you stay focused on a daily basis. I even do it for the fun stuff that I want to do. It just helps me stay on point. I'm not a big schedule guy, but this is something I can't live without. The second thing is journaling. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't really been on my journaling game as much as I used to. But it is one of those things that has always been a constant throughout the last 10 years. I started journaling maybe back in 2017, 2018 is when I got my first journal. Around this time, I was in college, and it gave me a place to get my thoughts off of my mind without talking to friends or venting to family. It gave me a place to collect everything. You know, the beautiful part about journaling for me is that it forces me to slow down with my thoughts. You would think that you're going through some life-threatening crisis, and then when you write it down on a piece of paper, you realize how ridiculous it is, this thing that you were thinking about. It also helps me a lot with strategy. When I'm presented with a difficult challenge in my life, the first place I go is to God, and then I bring it to my journal. Because when you ask yourself, what are all the solutions to this problem? What's the worst case scenario of this situation? You figure it out. That's the problem that a lot of people have, and even I have sometimes in my life. You don't really dig deep into trying to solve your problems. You give it a surface level thought, and if it doesn't come right away, you just say, okay, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. If you spend 30 minutes brainstorming about your problems, you're going to have so many more solutions, and journaling is one of the best ways to do that. The third thing that I picked up over the years is investing. Now, I have a lot of active income, but the money that I make from investments is almost to the point where it covers all of my base expenses. My rent, my cars, my insurance, it's getting there. And that's from fully passive income. That passive income that I generate comes from high yield savings accounts and rental properties. Of course, we have gains that come from my stock portfolio and my crypto portfolio, which is having a lot more losses than gains lately. If you know, you know. But investing is something I've been doing ever since I started touching money back in 2017. I bought Bitcoin early. I was one of the earliest people I know in my circle buying Bitcoin. And also stocks. I was buying stocks back then as well, and these things have appreciated very well for me over the last couple years. Granted, when I had my financial days of ruin, I sold some of it. I wish I kept all of it. Regardless, I don't care if you are working a 9 to 5 or you are making 500,000 a month, investing has to be a very high priority in your life, especially when you're young. Most of the richest people of all time did it through investing. It doesn't happen fast. It takes a very long time, but this is where your money compounds, and it's something that you should dig deeper on. The best book that I could give any beginner about investing is the Boglehead's Guide to Investing. Somebody's calling me. Is the Boglehead's Guide to Investing. It's from this guy, John C. Bogle. He created a company called Vanguard. Maybe you heard it. It's one of the biggest wealth management companies in the whole world. And he's actually the father of this thing called an index fund. Now I'm going to spare you the boring explanation of index funds, but basically it is a collection of companies. And instead of buying all of them individually, you can get a piece of each one. And I learned about index funds years ago, and since then, I've been consistently trying to buy them and buy them and buy them. It's a safe bet on America. So I buy real estate index funds, I buy crypto, and some individual stocks. But I'm no successful trader by any means. The fourth habit that I've not always been the best at, but I always try to do, is tracking my finances. Now, this is important even if you don't have a lot of money. You might think, oh, well, I don't need to do this because I'm not making money. But it's actually more important the less money you make. Because you might actually be able to cut back on one or two things and suddenly you have enough money to go and start your business. I use this app called Copilot. Not sponsored with them, but they are the app that I've been using for like 4 or 5 years now. It shows me what I spend money on. It shows me my total net worth. It shows me how much money I made. It's super helpful. I'm also to the point where I have a good CPA firm behind me that is giving me monthly reports, but you guys, for the most part, are not at that level. So I would just recommend using an app. You have like Copilot, you have like Mint, there's a bunch of them. Get one, set it up the right way, check that thing every single week. It's going to make a difference. I've done it since I was broke, and even though I'm pretty unorganized, these apps have been essential to figuring out my finances, so I can't live without it. The fifth thing is watching YouTube. You might think it's a little counterintuitive, but most of my core knowledge that I learned in my life, I learned it through YouTube. Like some of the best advice I've ever gotten or business strategy I've ever gotten has come directly from YouTube. YouTube is a double-edged sword. Like you can watch videos like this, right? It's positive. I'm trying to give you some game. Or you could literally go watch League of Legends gameplay or go watch absolute brain rot. And trust me, I consume both. But if you pick the right stuff, YouTube is one of the best sources to acquire information on any topic, anything. You already know this, but I'm just giving you a reminder. And watching YouTube is something I've done every single day, maybe since I was 13 years old. And I would say it had a big impact on me becoming rich at a young age. So watch more videos, but watch the right videos. The next thing is reading. Now, I actually think reading is a superior method of acquiring information than YouTube videos, but it's different. I feel like for me, YouTube has been better for more recent and relevant information, whereas reading is more for principles. And reading is more for foundational knowledge. Like you could go read the book I just told you from John C. Bogle about index funds. But if you want to know what is hot in the market today and what emerging industries to pay attention to, then the only way you're going to find this is from watching YouTube. You're not going to find it from a 40-year-old book, obviously. But what you might find in that book is a pattern. And if you study patterns, you'll see that these markets move in cycles. And that's where I say books can have more foundational knowledge that's really going to be helpful for you in the long run. I read every week. I wish I could say every day, but every week I'm trying to read. And when I read, everything in my life gets better. I feel less stressed. My brain moves slower in a good way. I feel more in control of everything, and I feel smarter too, as stupid as that sounds. The more books I read, the better I speak. So give yourself 10 minutes a day. Pick up a book for 10 minutes. What happens is if it's a good book, you're not going to want to put it down, and you're just going to keep reading it. So reading is one of those habits. The next thing is calling my family. I think I call my mom, my dad, my sister every week. I call my mom almost every day. Talk to my dad every single day. My stepdad. I talk to my little brother all the time. I'm always talking to my family. And I think that we get so locked in that we neglect our family members because we're so focused, right? But what I found is the more time that I spend connecting with them, the more at peace I feel. And I always feel good getting off the phone with one of them. So call your grandma. I just lost my grandma recently. Call your grandma, call your mom, at least once a day. Just say what's up. Just check in on them. That's one thing that I would say has never left my routine. The next thing, of course, is working out. Just about every single day of my life, I work out. Now, I'm not a big, I'm going to go and do only bodybuilding type of guy. I'm more of like a functional fitness type of guy. So I do go to the gym 3-4 times a week, but I like to do calisthenics. I like to run. I like to play basketball. I like to stretch. I like to do functional forms of fitness because I'm young. And I want to use my body to its fullest potential at this stage of my life. I want to, because when I'm like 50, 60, it's going to be hard for me to play sports. And it's going to be hard for me to do some of the things that I can do now. So I'm really trying to take advantage of that. I play a lot of sports. And I do this on a daily. I also like to go for walks. I don't go for long walks, but just walking 15 minutes a day around my neighborhood is another one of those things that calms my mind and puts me in the right state for the rest of the day. A lot of mornings I'll go outside. Sometimes I'll just go with no shirt. I'll bring my coffee and I'll just walk around my neighborhood. And as crazy as I might look, I feel amazing after. I'm starting my day with sunlight. I'm getting the sun in my skin. I got some caffeine pumping. I come home. I'm going to be sitting inside in the dark for a couple hours working. So that charge up in the morning gets me right. And then halfway through my work day, I'll go break off, go work out. And then I'm feeling right for the second half of the day. So I'm always training. You guys always got to be training too. I don't care if you already got a good looking body. Never stop training. Never fall off in that category. Every time I've been depressed or anytime I've been down in my life, it's this times where I'm not training as much. And anytime I get stressed, the quickest way out of it is a good workout. Number 9 is side questing. I'm a big side quest guy. I like having hobbies. Some of my brothers and friends don't agree with me on this one. They think you need to just be all in and obsessed on your thing. And I do believe that. But I also think it's equally as important to at least have 1 or 2 things that you do outside of work that are as important to you. Because it's a skill to learn skills. And the only way to learn skills is from learning skills. That is a tongue twister, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like right here, look. I got my chessboard right there. Like I'll be playing chess, man. I really be grinding chess. I watch chess videos. Like I got a chess book over here. I like playing basketball. I'm really serious about playing basketball. I play like 3 times a week. I'll be on my kickboxing too. I took a little break from kickboxing, and I'm DJing too. I just did my first DJ set here in Miami with my boy Josh Baker. That was lit. It was one of the best days I ever had. Maybe I got too many side quests now because I got a lot of free time. But in the beginning, I always had some side quest. And I think it's important for you to have some hobby on the way up. Pick up a guitar, pick up a piano, pick up chess, something to distract your mind that's not Instagram Reels. It'll be good for you. Number 10 is I have built a habit of failing. Now, I know that sounds defeatist and pessimistic, but it's actually really positive if you understand what I'm trying to say. Failure is something that I've always pursued in the sense of not being afraid to fail. I want to win. Don't get it confused. In everything I do, I want to win. I'm very competitive. But I don't let my desire to win keep me away from failing. You understand what I'm trying to say. I have failed more times than I've won, and that is why I'm successful. Somebody said that, and I really like that quote. Let me know in the comments who said that, because I don't remember. But I believe that. I've taken so many L's in business, on YouTube, in my personal life, and it's the reason why I'm here today. So even on this channel, I have videos that do good, and I have videos that don't do good. On my main channel, it's the same shit. So I've made a habit out of failing, and you need to as well. It's the biggest problem with people. We grew up in school where they told us that failure was bad, but in reality, failure is one of the best things that you could ever have in your life because it makes you make progress. Number 11 is rewarding myself. Every time I hit a significant milestone in my life, I treat myself. And you need to be doing this. When I got 1 million subscribers, I bought my dream watch. Rolex, presidential, factory diamonds, nasty watch. When I sold my company, I bought a McLaren. When I made my first million online, I moved to Los Angeles. I'm always fighting for these milestones, and once I get them, I treat myself. And maybe it's just the way I am, but it gives me something to work towards. Like it gives me a target. Like it gives me a goal. Like I feel good when I make a lot of money, but just making the money to make it doesn't really hit the same anymore. But when I have a little thing to work towards, like, hey, when we get to 1 million a month, I'm going to go take a month-long vacation or something along these lines. It's going to make me go harder for that thing. I'm actually about to reward myself tomorrow with a new watch. I'm buying an AP skeleton with the salmon dial. It's a watch I wanted for quite some time, and I'm really excited to get it. It's a nasty watch. I had to show y'all boys in the next video. Why did I get it? This one is more so a reward just because. I honestly didn't hit any crazy milestones lately, but I'm treating myself just to treat myself, and that's okay too. So try to set milestones and reward yourself, even if it's as simple as taking yourself out to dinner, right? Or even if it's as simple as buying yourself a new pair of shoes. I remember one instance where I had my first $20,000 day on my Shopify store, and I went to the sneaker store and bought a pair of Jordan 1s. Them shoes like $300. I made 20 grand that day. But it made it feel special, and I still have those shoes. And guess what I think about every time I put those shoes on? That day. So always reward yourself. Find excuses to reward yourself. Otherwise, what is the point of trying to become successful? The last habit that made me rich is gratitude. I go through seasons of my life where I lose sight of this. And every time I lose sight of this gratitude, things begin to crumble around me. It's only when I tap back in to this, it's only when I tap back into my faith and I start to be grateful for the ups, the downs, the challenges. That's when things start to click in my life again. It's backwards. You think it's better to always be living in survival mode and always be waiting for things to crash down. Like that's what our brain tells us is the right thing to do. But in fact, when you live your life in abundance and you make a habit out of living your life in abundance and you practice gratitude on a daily basis, your cup begins to run over. Opportunities present themselves out of thin air. And before you know it, you're in your 20s and you made a couple $1 million.